Welcome in to the Tuesday Titans Tossup. I am your host, Luke Worsham, Titans reporter for A to Z Sports, here with you on this lovely Tuesday, Tuesday, it being February 22nd, 2022. And here's what we do on the Tuesday Titans Tossup. We toss up a topic related to the Tennessee Titans, and we talk about it for less than 10 minutes, giving you everything you need to know about the topic. And today, that topic is going to surround Titans outside linebacker Harold Landry. He's been a big topic of conversation throughout the day on social media. A lot of Titans fans have been very eager throughout the day today to share their opinion on whether they think Harold Landry should be re-signed by the Tennessee Titans. And so, I'm going to, in this episode, tell you what I believe about that, and more importantly, give you 3 reasons why I believe that. Harold Landry coming off of a career year for the Titans, his first 10-sack season, the first 10-sack season that a Titans player has had since Mike Vrabel became the head coach in 2018. Landry, an impending unrestricted free agent. He could be franchise tagged for about $17.5 million, or the Titans could go the route of a contract extension, which would likely be about that much or more. We know that Harold Landry wants to be paid more than Bud Dupree. Per A to Z Sports Buck Rising, Landry wants to be the highest paid member of the Titans outside linebacker room. So, with all of that knowledge about Landry's situation, about what we're working with here and having this conversation, I'm going to declare that I think the Titans absolutely should do what they can to bring Harold Landry back for the 2022 season. And as I said, I'm going to give you 3 reasons why that's the case. First reason is that if you're the Tennessee Titans, you absolutely do not want to break up the pass rush unit that was so wildly successful in 2021. Need we look back to 2020 to realize how desperately the Titans needed to overhaul their outside linebacking group and their interior defensive line group? Because in 2020, the Titans' defense as a whole was a disaster. And in my opinion, it started with the fact that they couldn't sniff a quarterback. So John Robinson, Titans general manager, goes into the offseason, brings in Nico Autry. He brings in the outside linebacker Bud Dupree. And along with the incumbents of that pass rush group, Jeffrey Simmons and Harold Landry, both of whom took big steps forward in 2021, the Titans went from not being able to sniff quarterbacks to being a terror for quarterbacks. Almost every game, it seemed like the Titans throughout the 2021 season made life really, really difficult for the opposing quarterback with their pass rush. And with those 4 people, it didn't take a whole lot for Shane Bowen, the defensive coordinator, to draw up pressure. It was I may have actually been the least blitzing team in the NFL. I'd have to go back and check that stat, but I feel like I remember reading that at one point, that the Titans blitzed the least in the NFL in 2021. And you don't want to lose that. They had something really, really special with that group in 2021 with Autry, Simmons, Dupree, and Landry being the leader in sacks of that entire group. And if the Titans have any say in that, which they do, as we're going to keep talking about here, they can't let that slip away. They can't make the decision and say, you know what, we as the Titans are going to opt to lose this strength of ours. You just can't do it. It was so valuable in 2021. They nearly beat the Bengals despite throwing 3 interceptions in that playoff game because they sacked Joe Burrow 9 times. Even the Rams with Aaron Donald couldn't do that. They only got a measly 7 in the Super Bowl. But the Titans got to keep that group of 4 together. That's reason number one why Harold Landry needs to stay put. Reason number two why the Titans need to keep Harold Landry is they can afford to do it. Now, if you go to AtoZSports.com, you look at our Nashville page, you're going to see that I wrote a contract projection for Harold Landry. And there's logic behind it, and there's explanation for why I think that projection is how much Landry's going to get. You can go read that on our website. But I will say this, with the projection and with what I think Harold Landry would get with a contract extension with the Titans, they can do it. It is an affordable proposition. Unlike what a lot of people would have you to believe, the Titans can make this work. Because the nature of the NFL, as it relates to the salary cap, is this. As you get more expensive in one area, you will naturally get cheaper in another as players age out, as you lose big contracts. Here's an example of that with the Titans. For the first several years of John Robinson's tenure with the team, the Titans were paying a lot of money to their secondary. Right? They had big contracts tied up to Malcolm Butler and Logan Ryan. They were paying Kenny Vaccaro on a contract extension, a veteran salary. They were paying a first-round pick salary to Adoree Jackson, which, again, he was on his rookie contract. But, again, it's that first-round pick rookie value. The Titans were paying a lot of money to their secondary. And now they're not. Kevin Byard in that, too. Now they're not. Byard's still there. But your cornerbacks, as the Titans, assuming that Janoris Jenkins gets released, which he probably will to clear up over $6 million, you're not paying very much to your secondary. Amani Hooker is super cheap going into year 4, fourth-round draft pick from a few years back. Christian Fulton in year 3 is super cheap. Caleb Farley, first-round draft pick, going to be cheap. You're not paying a whole lot of money to your secondary, and you're also probably not going to be paying a whole lot of money to your offensive line. Because you're losing one of either Taylor Lewan or Roger Saffold at minimum. You might lose both of them, and you might also lose Ben Jones. Dylan Radins will likely slide into a starting spot. You'll draft some more, and you'll get a little bit cheaper at offensive line. And next year, you're going to get a little bit cheaper, perhaps at wide receiver. Well, I take that back because, Julio Jones coming off the book, A.J. Brown will replace him. So take that comment back. But you're getting cheaper at a couple positions. That's how it works. And so it's okay with that to then get a little more expensive at another position, which is what's going to happen with the Titans in terms of their defensive front, because you're paying Danico Autry a free agent salary, as is the case for Bud Dupree. They're going to extend Jeffrey Simmons. That's going to happen. Not this year, but next. And you can pay Harold Landry too, because you're not paying that much money to other positions. This is a deal the Titans can afford to do, especially considering the fact that the salary cap is due to jump up significantly in 2023 and 2024. Last reason that the Titans need to re-sign Harold Landry is that he has more value to them than he does to other teams. Now, you might sit there and say, well, that just might be why other teams shouldn't pay him. Correct, perhaps. But Harold Landry has a significant value to the Titans because he's familiar with them. The Titans' pass rush and the stunts they run have a lot to do with communication and being on the same page. He has that with Autry and Dupree and with Jeffrey Simmons. At the same time, he's also very versatile. Titans use him in a lot of different ways, and he gives them value in doing that, because you're probably not going to find someone that versatile who can rush from off the ball and on the ball and drop into coverage. You're not going to find that guy in the draft, certainly not low in the first round, and you're not going to find him in free agency. You got him. It's Harold Landry, and the Titans need to re-sign him. That does it for this week's edition of the Tuesday Titans Tossup. Thank you for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed these last 10 minutes. Come back next week. We'll have more fun in store in less than 10 minutes. We appreciate you tuning in. See you next time.